Thanks very much, Meghna. Viewers, we have 125 countries descending on India, over 220 meetings across 60 cities in 28 states. The heads of state were not just in awe of Bharat Mandapam, but equally impressed by glimpses of our traditional dance and art forms. Prime Minister personally championing the projection of brand Bharat. The G20 Presidency of India was encapsulated by the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or you can say that his Sabka Saath mantra has today been extended to the world. In fact, the World Bank itself has hailed the transformation of India through digital public infrastructure. In its G20 report, the World Bank said that India has achieved in just 6 years what would have taken about 5 decades by building one of the world's largest digital government to person using DPI. The financial inclusion rate has gone up from 25 to 80% in the last 6 years alone. This aided transfers of about $361 billion directly to beneficiaries from 53 central government ministries through 312 key schemes. The report also noted that the number of Jan Dhan accounts had tripled to 147 million and has over 12 million women customers. Why are we telling you all of this? Because this also forms the bedrock, what has been the bedrock of the Prime Minister's development agenda in India is now going to be extended to what India's agenda is in G20 as well. In fact, the Prime Minister today also posted on social media that India's leap in financial inclusion, which is powered by digital public infrastructure, complements our robust digital payment infrastructure and the spirit of our people. It is equally a testament to rapid progress and innovation. While the PM hails our digital infrastructure, global leaders are also acknowledging that brand India has now truly arrived.
I think there'll be many things that we'll be discussing here at the G20 under India's leadership, and I'm confident that we'll make very good progress on a range of different issues. I think G20 has been a huge success for India. India is the right country at the right time to be hosting this, and I feel we're going to have a very good couple of days of deliberations and decisions made.
इंडिया के यूथ, उनकी आबादी, उनकी एम्बिशन देखकर अमेरिका इंडिया के साथ काम करने के लिए तैयार है। हम समझते हैं कि इंडिया एक उभरती हुई अर्थव्यवस्था के हैसियत से अपना आवाज़ उठा रहे हैं।
This is the peak of a very successful and extremely impressive presidency. India has been like no other president before, and I say that because Germany was also a president before, has put the G20 or elevated the G20 to the next level. I think they did a brilliant job. Now, and they did this job in a very difficult time. I think this is maybe the most difficult, politically the most difficult G20 presidency.
But it's not just this. Standard & Poor Global's forecast also says that India will surpass Japan very soon to become the third largest economy by 2030, with the country's GDP projected to rise from $3 trillion in 2022 to $7.3 trillion by 2030. In comparison, Vietnam's GDP growth rose by 4.14%. Southeast Asia's biggest economy, Indonesia, expanded 5.17%. The Philippines grew by 4.3%, while India's economy grew 7.8% in the June quarter, marking the fastest pace of growth in a year. From vaccine Maitri to the Solar Alliance, from UPI to space exploration, there is no stopping India. It is now being projected as the leader of the global south, especially by successfully pushing through the membership of the African Union in G20 as well. It definitely is a country that is being reckoned worldwide. But what are the globe's expectations from India? Joining us now is Yasuhide Nakayama, former State Minister of Foreign Affairs under Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and former State Minister of Defense for Japan. Thanks very much, Mr. Nakayama, for speaking to us. I want to first start by asking you of your plain expectations. When you look at India's presidency of the G20, what would be the 3 things achieved that in your eyes would completely check all the boxes when it comes to your expectations?
Yes, Good afternoon and good evening from Japan. And thank you for inviting me, first of all. Thank you very much, India. And thank you. So I'm focusing on the how about the strategy against China. Japan and India have the potential to collaboration in areas like maritime security, resource development, and the protection of trade routes. Relation to FOIP, both countries can cooperate based on the free and open Indo-Pacific initiative, focusing on developing a multi-currency payment system and improving governance. And also in India-Russia relations, considering China's alliance with Russia, India's relationship with Russia requires delicate balancing. But on the other hand, your country, India, has a great power to influence even the Russians. And four is a geopolitical issue about the China-Taiwan conflict. Taiwan issue. If tensions rise concerning Taiwan, the strategic interests of both Japan and India would intensify. Emergency response mechanism and humanitarian aid could become new areas of collaboration India-Japan. And also multi-faced approach, military cooperation, economic partnership, infrastructure project, technology, and collaboration in multilateral forms like ASEAN and the Quad should also be considered. So when considering strategy against China, the free and open Indo-Pacific initiative and the potential Taiwan issue, a comprehensive and multi-faced cooperation between Japan and India becomes crucial, especially in the current situation where China and Russia are collaborating, relying solely on relations with Russia is insufficient. Strengthening alliance with other democratic nations becomes necessary, considering the overall impact of our region security and the strategic balance. That is my thinking.
Would you think, Mr. Nakayama, it's fair to say that at present, India is the strongest and perhaps the only counterweight for the rest of the world to China's growing expansionism?
I really agree. You are the only country who can really play with China. And also the political leadership of President Modi, I'm really expecting his leadership against China. And so we, the Japan, and also the India has a very good common sense. And also the democratic nations are trusting India, which is your country. So you are very fair country, I guess.
Thank you for that. That's very kind. But are you surprised by Xi Jinping's decision to not turn up for the G20 summit? Why do you think he decided to miss it?
Of course, he's a politician, so I can understand why he act like that. But on the other hand, he's very childish. You know, the politics need dialogue. Politics, sometimes if you don't like or dislike some issues, but you have to come and talk with political leaders from all over the world. I don't know his age, but he's maybe inside. It's like a 13 or 14 teenagers thinking. Putin and Xi Jinping have to become an adult. If you're a politician, if you led your country, you have to be an adult. That is my opinion.
You have worked with Mr. Shinzo Abe, and as you would know, Prime Minister Modi and Shinzo Abe shared a very, very deep bond. In fact, when mourning his passing also, he said that I've lost a dear friend. What do you make? And considering that it's not just about India getting the presidency of G20, all the engagements have the Prime Minister's personal stamp on them. What do you make of Mr. Modi's style of diplomacy now and when you saw him working with Mr. Abe?
Yes, I especially belong to Abe faction. I trusted Mr. Abe a lot, and I still believe in his spouse, Akie Abe. And on behalf of Mr. Abe and Akira Abe, I think Mr. Modi is protected by his soul, I guess. And I think Mr. Modi is the only leader who can understand what Mr. Abe was thinking towards free, open Indo-Pacific, especially when Abe planned this geopolitical concept. He added free, open Indo-Pacific. There is no Japan, Indo. So the center of the geolocation in 21st century, India is going to become a very, very great, you have to let a key role against the China and Russia collaboration. And you are the country who can solve the problems of all over the world. So I hope that this time, instead of Shinzo Abe, Mr. Modi strongly led the world. Even Mr. Xi Jinping is not there. He can make more friends from democratic nations.
Mr. Nakayama, since you're also the coordinator for the Global Alliance for Digital Governance in Japan as well as Taiwan, I want to ask you, last month we had 3 of our service chiefs in Taiwan. You know, our Air Force chief, our Army chief, and our Navy chief. They were all there for a security conference. Do you believe that this perhaps could be one of the factors in Mr. Xi Jinping's absence?
I don't know exactly, but I hope one day, you know, even the Korea Peninsula situation, South Korea and North Korea, both two nations, they are the United Nations nation states. So why not China talk in front of the old world arena? Taiwan become a member state of United Nations and peacefully talk between the bilateral two countries. So I hope that China will accept, and there is no more Nixon or one China policy issue. We understand, of course, we are in the politics. We understand the one China policy, Henry Kissinger's policy and thinking, or the history. But on the other hand, if you see the real country of Taiwan, Taiwan is not just an area or something. Taiwan is a country. So you have to recognize Taiwan as a country if you are democracy, if you believe in democracy. If you believe in autocracy, it's a different ideas. But even the North Korea is a member state of the United Nations. Why not? Taiwan becomes a member state and talk, dialogue. This is real politics, I guess. You have to talk.
Speaking of Taiwan, what do you make of China releasing its map barely weeks before the G20 summit?
Yes. You mean the 9-dash line becomes 10-dash line from the Beijing politics. But we understand what's going on in South China Sea. And, you know, even they erase and they write a new border inside of India even. Nobody likes their attitude and nobody likes their act and the influence operations from Beijing. And so this is, you talked about artificial intelligence, but regarding the China, there is not just AI stands for artificial intelligence. Also AI stands for artificial islands too. And AI society, we have to think about the fake news, deep fake profile, those kind of influence strategy and operations now in the internet and the cyber field almost came from the eastern part of Russia or China soil. So we have to think about the new warfare area. Additionally, space and also the how do you say the wave I don't know how to say in English, but electric magnetic field, I guess. Yeah.
Mr. Nakayama, thank you very much. Great expectations, and rightly so, from India, given that it has the presidency this time around. Thanks very much for speaking to us here on Times Now. Let me